Good morning, this is Freda Liu. You're listening to Tech Talk. Founded by a group of friends who started by scribbling their ideas on a piece of paper during the pandemic, Custella today is a workforce optimization tool which has gotten traction from several companies and from markets like Australia and Singapore. I'm here with one of the founders, Andrew Thomas. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Freda. Great to speak to you today.
Now, there's several workforce optimization tools in the marketplace. What would you say would be your USP?
I'd say there's a couple of things that cause us to stand out from the marketplace. Number one, we have both a field and service management application, but we also have transport management, which focuses on delivery. Although we tend to focus more on the field service, but the field service and transport in combination is a fairly unique combination in the marketplace. And apart from the fact that we're based here, which means we are supporting multiple languages, Malay and Mandarin in the marketplace here. And there's some feature sets that make us unique, certainly in the region, perhaps not globally, but certainly in the region. Things like service level agreements, managing of assets and logistics. So it's in combination a fairly strong, potent solution. I would like to think so.
Right. So when you all were sitting down scribbling on the paper, right, what did you see was missing as you were scribbling on the paper that and resulted in this solution?
Actually, where it started was customers kept asking us for solutions like this, and we built similar solutions for clients. So this came out because clients kept asking us for the same thing, and we noticed a trend. This client wants this client wants that. You put that all together, you get a product. And obviously, these products do exist in the marketplace. In the global marketplace, it's a huge industry and it's expensive products. Usually, the players of the world, like the Oracles and the Salesforce, they have solutions like that. The low end of the marketplace also has nearly free products as well, but it does not have the sophistication needed to be an effective tool. So we focus mostly on the mid-market segment, where the combination of features and functions is sophisticated enough for that marketplace at a price that is affordable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you could go to the big boys and pay an arm and a leg. It doesn't make sense because it would be multiple the salaries of the field force.
Okay, let's go through your various products and offerings, right? So you've got your field sales, your field service, transport management, SLA and case management, and asset inventory management. So I guess if you were to go through each of it, what's in it for the customers and the users?
Okay, give a bit of clarity to the product structure. Field sales and service is one vertical and the other is transport. So there's two basic products bundled in this. You could choose one or the other or buy both. In this case, it's a true horizontal solution in the marketplace. It is not serving one industry. It's not a vertical solution. So it does cover across the board. Things like the functionality such as asset management and managing your movement of assets and stock, service level agreements, which things like, did I close the case on time? The customer called expecting resolution this day. Did I close it out that time? So service level management is a very key functionality. So that's across the various product offerings. So we have those kind of unique solutions, the combination being quite unique in the marketplace.
You offer your services to various industries, which I thought was very interesting as well, right? From sales, ambulance and rescue services, IT services, utilities, logistics, telcos, machine manufacturers, safety and security to pharmaceuticals. So let's unpack some of this. Machine manufacturers, why would they need your services?
Machine manufacturers are probably, in fact, manufacturers generally would be a very interesting use case because one, they manufacture and distribute. And so we've got a client that, in this case, distributes the machines they make. They either repair it, service it. So they use transport management to manage all their delivery. So they are what you call first-party logistics, 1PL. They're not doing this for somebody else. They do it for themselves. There's a transport element. But at the same time, this equipment goes out to various customers who then need to have it, especially we're talking manufacturing process, these machines need to be the uptime needs to be close to 100%. You can't afford much downtime. So there's preventive maintenance, there's reactive maintenance whenever that's needed. So both on the service side, which is both planned and unplanned maintenance, and as well as delivering to customer and the product and delivering back. So the whole transport management, all of that comes into play for a machine manufacturer. Right. Manufacturers generally.
Ambulance and rescue.
That is an interesting area. We have not yet gotten too much traction in that area. And that part of the reason is I think that area is still underserved, and it tends to be very manual. It's all phone calls and who's who and who's where. And the use of an application is not something that they have launched in. But I think there's definitely something that of interest, because the last service in the world that you want to know I'm on the way is the ambulance. You want to know where they are. This Malaysian I'm on the way story. The guy could still be in the bathroom. He's on the way. Yeah, you really want to know a bit more than that.
So that was the reason why you came up with this solution.
Yes, and I think it really solves a problem, especially where it's a life and death. You get to know, your Grab delivery is on the way, and you can look at the map. You can see where the driver is. You don't know where the ambulance is.
Right.
And you think if you know where your package is hardly life and death is on the way, or your cab is on the way to take you to wherever, you have no idea when you're going to get, treated for a heart attack.
Right.
You would think that would be a high priority, but, so we think it's an unserved or underserved market, a completely unserved market, actually. Yeah, but, right now this is one of those areas where change management is very hard because they're so used to one way of doing things.
Okay. What about with safety and security?
Yeah, this is an existing client. So they supply a lot of equipment to companies and operate as a service, from cameras to all manner of the security equipment they supply to their clients. And obviously, there's both preventive maintenance as well as reactive. The moment something goes down, they go fix it, and they do this for financial services industry, mainly banks.
Right.
And so they use us to a very large degree. So they're creating thousands of job orders a month because they're routinely doing preventive maintenance, they're routinely doing repair work, and also supporting clients whenever there's an issue. So they use this to both to schedule work, to plan work, to route work. And again, all of this is not just managing people alone, it's managing the work. So for example, when the job is done, take a photo, upload documents, get the sign off from the customer. All of this is digital. So one client basically got rid of reams and reams of paper, and they're doing this entirely with a tablet.
Right. So people will say, how are you different from an HR tool? What's missing in an HR tool?
We are not doing HR. So this is managing the work, not the people are a piece of that work, obviously, because they are executing that work. But this is not an HR application. This is a workforce management for the purpose of delivering the work. So managing the work. So the job order, the task needs to be managed. Do I know for example, the customers get notified, if the guy's on time. The guy gets triggered, your appointment's in half an hour, you need to be on the way. The app manages the work for the individual, manages the work for the client as well. So the client gets to see what's going on. They get a portal to see when's this guy on the way, who's coming. And the whole work is managed. So, for example, when the work's done, the forms that need to be filled out, the sign off from the client, all of that's done on the app. So it's managing the work and the workforce to get the job done.
Right. And what you said was very poignant, right? About ambulance and rescue, right? When it's a solution that's already available for packages, we need something like this for the various industries as well. And some of it is life and death, right? We'll talk a little bit more about this. And of course, some case studies that you've got. I'm here with Andrew Thomas from Custella. Stay tuned to Tech Talk, BFM 89.9.
Bring forth money. BFM 89.9.
You're listening to Tech Talk. Good morning. I'm Freda Liu. I'm speaking to Andrew Thomas from Custella. And Custella today is a workforce optimization tool which has gotten traction from several companies and from markets like Australia and Singapore. How long did it take to develop this tool?
Actually, we did this over a couple of years. We had a couple of false starts, so to speak. I would like to think we, as an industry term goes, we failed upwards. So this was actually the third iteration. And part of the reason is because obviously the changes in technology, the fundamental technology we use changed, user requirements changed. What we thought was the market need was obviously not correct on the first iteration. But having refined it with clients, and clients continue to help us refine it because they determine what we need to develop. It's market demand that drives our development rather than what we think. So it took place over a couple of years, but this March 2022 was our first full financial year that we completed. Before that, it's proof of concept and minimal viable product. But yeah, we just complete one full financial year. We are young as a company, but we launched, unfortunately, and obviously I had no crystal ball. If I did, I would have known better. But we launched just in time for the pandemic.
Right.
So that wasn't great. But in spite of that, in spite of the fact we couldn't go meet people, we couldn't leave the home for that matter, we are in the positive for the first financial year, which speaks of a good market traction to begin with.
Right.
We're proud of that.
Does your solution work on all devices?
Yes. Android and iOS, that's almost all. I wouldn't say all, but close to every device. So it doesn't matter the form factor. It's got a web app and a mobile app. So obviously, if you're sitting in the office, it's a browser-based, and on a mobile, it's both iOS and Android.
Right. So it doesn't matter if you're in a different country.
It makes no difference where you are. In fact, we've got clients. Why this tool really helped them is they could not manage their field force that was not based in the office. They didn't know when they were going to start, when they were finished. This on the way, Malaysian on the way is quite nationwide. So this guy in Sarawak, for example, will be on the way. He's never left his house. So now all of that goes away. So they're managing a national field force sitting in the office in KL. All these other service personnel work from home.
Right.
They don't have offices in all these places, and they can manage them as if they were in office.
Right. When you mentioned earlier, this is your third reiteration of the product based on customer needs and all that. Like, what was an example of something that didn't work anymore? Was the pandemic also a factor?
Okay. Actually, one of the things when we first started out, we went down the path more of a B2C, business to consumer type application. But we realized that one, the market's already flooded with products like that, and two, people tend to do a bespoke solution for what they want. There is a market for B2C. It tends to be cheap, and they want it basic. Think of your Grab app. That's a B2C app. It's for the consumer. It's not really for business to business. So one of the main pivots is we focus to B2B business. The second part that changed was the underlying technology changed quite a bit in terms of the platform, the programming language, those sort of things. So there's some of those changes that took place. We honed our business case in these iterations. So we're focused now largely on the B2B or B2B2C segment, as well as a mid-market. We're not trying to get the global companies to come on board. At the same time, we're not trying to get the SMBs that want a cheap app that says, I just want to know when the guy showed up on site. So there's the what you call check-in, check-out. There are plenty of apps like that, some of them virtually free. So check-in, check-out is just one of the most basic functions. We can even give you an optimal route. We can even have a predictive time to get from point A to point B in a future date based on trended past traffic. So we could route you, we could tell you where you are on the journey. So that's good for management to know, good for client to know. So all of that's built in. So that is a much more robust solution than we first envisaged.
Right. What about in terms of support, customer support or after sales service? How does that come into play?
So we support all our customers. We do have a support package as well, but regardless, we do support all our clients, early days as well. And our support and our development go hand in hand because a lot of the customer feedback ends up being product development. So we have a team that's dedicated to supporting clients. We have clients calling us all day for different things. Usually it's how-to type questions. And so one of the focus development areas now is creating more and more user videos and documentation to help them. A lot of people in this segment don't really want to read a manual, so we got to create how-to videos rather than...
Right. Okay.
So a lot of that sort of work to help the customer get through. Having said that, I would like to say the app is fairly intuitive. It's fairly easy to use, especially for the mobile side, because the mobile is the end user, technician or field service personnel. So it's made simple for field service personnel. The complexity is for those who sit in the office.
Right. The techies, that's for the techies, right? So tell me about some of your clients. There's Hills Health Solutions. What have they done with you? So
Hills is a client in Australia. They're a very old company in Australia. So they've done a whole lot of different things over their time. In fact, if you've asked any Australian about Hills, they'll tell you they did the clothes racks. that
Wow.
used to hang clothes outside. So that's how they were well known in Australia. But Hills also they have a medical services business that supports hospitals. They supply equipment to all the hospitals. This obviously has to be fairly real time. It needs to be managed very quickly in terms of delivery, in terms of configuration, in terms of support. All of their field support personnel use Custella, and the entire management of their work, from turning on, turning off, delivering, repair, all of that is done by Custella and managed by the team. So that, and it really helped them because it helped them in the pandemic. No one needed to come to the office. No paperwork needed to be submitted. All information was real time. Dashboards were available to know how quick the response times were. Customers could find out what was happening. This, I don't know, I'll get back to you, disappeared. Everything was real time, everything was transparent, and everything was online.
All right. Out in Brunei, you're working with Alan Dick. What does that company do?
So they are telco infrastructure provider, and so they work with their main client being Shell. So they support all of Shell's telco infrastructure, mainly the towers, both for maintenance, upgrades. So it's managing a field force. Even given Brunei is a small country, nevertheless you got teams moving all over the place. You don't know who's where and when, whether they started the job on time, finished, because Shell's very strict in their on-site activities in terms of when you start, when you finish, and there are a lot of safety procedures in place. So a lot of these procedures, documentations on Custella, you know when they've arrived, you know whether they've done all the checklists needed before they start work, the photographs taken when they finish, their travel time back and forth. All of this is managed without you having to do phone calls.
Right. Actually, why the name Custella?
Why the name Custella? That's actually a good question. We tried to figure out a decent name. We couldn't. I left it to the team and they came up with Custella. So I take no personal responsibility for it. Custella means elegant lady in Latin.
Okay. As I know, you guys are coming up with some things in the future. Gamification, AI, machine learning.
That is something more AI, perhaps more machine learning. This is where, when you service equipment, the idea is that your customer shouldn't have to call you to say my equipment's broken down. Your equipment should call you. And so all you got to do is basically have some kind of a SIM device where the machine can basically call the manufacturer or the distributor to say, look, I'm broken, something's wrong, I'm not working as I should. So that's a part of machine learning. And a lot of equipment are already built with this. They have alarms. They have things that trigger that something's not right. And you usually see that as an alarm flashing on the screen of the device or some kind of local information. You got to take that information and transmit it back so that you are triggered immediately. So the goal is to get the device to trigger the service personnel, bypassing the entire middle level chain of the customer calling, customer support assigning a service technician. You bypass that whole process. The machine's broken, the machine calls a technician, basically. And that is certainly the goal. We are already working with one customer, perhaps to do some work with them this year, perhaps towards the end of the year in triggering that.
Right. I understand you're also planning to expand and looking for funding at the moment.
Yes, I think we've done a good first year. I think we've well passed the proof of concept. We've proved viability in the marketplace. We've established clients that not only bought Custella, but have since renewed their licenses because this is a SaaS product. So it's an annual license subscription. So obviously, if the marketplace didn't like a product, we sold it, but they didn't like it, they won't renew it. So we have clients renewing our licenses. So we believe we've established traction. And to grow, especially if you want to grow globally, because this is not so much, once it's a SaaS product, the market's the workplace is your market. Right. So to establish presence in other markets and to grow the business is what we're looking for investment for.
Right. And I understand that even getting this on, there wasn't much marketing required. It's sort of word of mouth kind of thing.
Word of mouth, plus also Custella is a subsidiary of Lava Protocols. We've been in the business for 15 years. So we've got a fairly large customer base. We have communicated a lot of customers. We've got a strong marketing team that, has email marketing and the like. So leveraging on the strengths of Protocols, we certainly had a leg up in getting the word out.
All right. So all the best with the future projects. I've been speaking to Andrew Thomas from Custella. You've been listening to Tech Talk BFM 89.9.